just a second here. I was thinking of a little bit of a short session just so that we could talk about what everybody wants to per se do. I'm going to move you guys back to where you're actually at, which is at the tower. Um, and the reason I'm kind of bringing this up is because Azek's got over a 30 intellect. Chandler's character does. Tim, you're incredibly wise. So is Jolie. Colleen's not going to be here today. She's not feeling too well. So, and you guys have skills that allow you to actually plan out and do some research. Plus, you've got a god sitting here that you can ask questions of. And I figured, well, maybe you guys should have a planning session because you kind of got some goals out here in this wild space / astral space stuff. And maybe a tit for tat might not be a bad thing to do since you do have the time. And I did mention that, oh, yeah, you guys might want to do some downtime activities, like maybe I want to tweak a magic item or wish upon a star or whatever, kind of thing. But it does give you the ability to kind of look at that, take a step back from active play and thinking, oh, I've got to get things done right now, and actually just have a moment to decide what you guys want to do. I can answer questions for you. You guys can do some rolls on some things. All of that can help out. So
I feel like we're back in Janderhoff trying to figure out what the hell we're doing because we don't know what the hell we're doing, where we're going, anything about anything.
Right.
We're basically newbies out here in the middle of. We're powerful newbies, but when you don't know shit, that gets you in trouble.
Oh yeah, and what are the rules out here? What are the laws? What things are going on? I mean, you're now in a realm that's controlled by, astral faring creatures, demi-deities and beings of great power like yourself. And just the standard ship hand too, So you got all that stuff going on. So
I wanted to ask about stuff like that because this is the astral plane and weird things happen in it. So
absolutely, and there's weird rules too for things that you don't know about, And the thing is if you're trying to cram all that into a standard session, it's going to screw you over. And I don't want to accidentally TPK your group because I didn't, as a DM, give you the opportunity to ask a few questions when you had it. So there's the kind of prologue to this. Athena is sitting at the end of one of the mead tables, and she is having a drink. She is right here. I will ping her.
I'm predicting Chandler's future that his doorbell's about to ring.
Did you go over to Chandler's?
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were like a psychic or something. I thought you were going to try and take Azek's.
Maybe a psycho.
Yeah, there you go.
I've known him long enough.
Fair enough.
I know what you're capable of.
Just want to swing by and get those Shiva Flash alibi.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Tim is one of the players I picked up when I moved back to Iowa 24 years ago. So
1991.
Oh yeah, it's longer than 24 years. It's been almost 34, hasn't it? Shit, that's right. It was 91.
Yeah, we're old, buddy. We're old.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a long road.
This is hilarious. We're standing in my living room talking to each other on headphones.
We're nerds. What can we say? No, I had to drop off his. Dice. I remember he made me a pin one year, and I'm like, I saw these dice. I'm like, he's gonna like these.
And I do remember a conversation, Chandler, once where we talked about, wow, if gaming moves to online, I don't think I'll ever wear a headphone. I remember that chat.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you do?
I think it's the future. I think it's what's going to happen. I just watched Back to the Future 2 where they're all sitting at the table, all plugged into their sort of
I got my boys at home.
Data glass type things, and all watching like 9 different things and stuff like that.
You see, that stuff's on a side note. That's
won't get killed today.
That on a side note, that stuff's so true because how many people look at their phone at a dinner party more than 4 to 5 times on 9 to 6 different things that they're reading? So Back to the Future wasn't wrong. They're just not trying to watch them all at the same time. They're just looking through them on their phone. So the only thing they got wrong is they got the size of the screen. It didn't need to be a 100-inch screen in a room. It only needed to be a 5-inch screen in your hand. So, oops.
Yep. They were close though.
Yeah, they were very close. Not
I'm
bad
still
at all.
waiting for my dehydrated pizza.
Yeah, I hear you there. I want one too.
Where's my dehydrated pizza? It's
Oh, these are awesome, Tim. Thank you.
Alrighty.
okay.
So,
Okay, I've got a couple of things to ask.
all right, let me do this because I know there's a lot of questions people have. So let me grab everybody and throw you all into a kind of like combat thing, which will help you keep track of who's talking about what where. And since there's only a few of you, I'll exclude who's not here actually.
Okay. My first action is I'm going to kick Azek in the nuts.
Ooh, so feral.
Go, haha. You're it.
Okay, and remove Gojin. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to randomly roll for all of you.
Oh, I was just about to roll.
Oh shit, I forgot my Go dice are still plugged in. Yeah, I'm not using those today.
No, I can't seem to roll.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too.
Well, I mean, nothing is turned up on my screen as in terms of character tokens. It's just the tower, basically.
Huh. Maybe I need to.
I mean, I see everybody.
Yeah. Try dragging like you're going to highlight a whole bunch of files on your computer, and see if you can grab your token and maybe that'll show it. But I'm also looking at it too. Can anybody else roll dice?
I'm assuming I can drag my token like that.
Yeah, there you go. And you should see just
Yeah.
the floor that you're on in the room. Okay, there's a dice that rolled. All right.
I mean, I just rolled it in chat.
Okay, so let me see if there's something going on otherwise.
Yeah, I just rolled mine from a skill.
Yeah, just go ahead and roll your initiative dice, then that'll work. I'm going to see what's going on mine.
I'll roll my dice in about 3 minutes when I walk back in the door.
Sounds good. Oh yeah, there's mine.
There's two deletes.
That probably fixed it for me.
Oh.
Or not.
Yeah?
Are you able to roll, Chandler?
No. I tried off initiative in the character sheet and off the initiative round.
Oh.
We can probably do without,
Yeah, we can't. Well, let me see if
Yeah,
there's.
I've sort of tried to do it twice and nothing seems to be coming
Yeah,
up.
if you do the one in chat, that seems to work, but if you do any automated rolls, that does not work. Okay. That might be just something, might have a package problem. After today, I got to save it and download it because our guy is going to be moving stuff to a new hoster again. Okay. So either way, we don't really need it. We'll just leave it in the order that it's currently in, which is no big deal. Let's see. Did you have any questions, Isaac?
Oh, we're starting great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Athena if there's any divine spells library or something I can use to research a spell?
Yes, absolutely. She says that's floor 2.
Okay.
Uh,
Do I still need to pay, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. She just provides you the facilities to do it.
Okay, but I could theoretically learn like heal or
Any,
death ward.
yeah, any spell you would like to research and convert over into a psionic one, it would be at the same kind of cost ratio where it's like I think
Mhm.
a 50 to 150
Yeah.
per level of the spell, and then just time.
Yeah, and works the same. Like
Yep,
I start, I don't know, 70 healing, and if I want more, I need to pay PowerPoints,
yep, yep,
like classic.
yep.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
uh,
gonna ask Party for funds for that because I got none. They're
We're
locked
broke.
in here.
one of the things I would like to ask is, can we go somewhere to sell all this stuff we've got that will help us get some funds?
We got that chest that was just full of freaking coins we never counted.
Yeah, we could have a look in that and see what's there. I
I
don't
know
know
we got
what's there.
yeah, we don't know. We don't know what's in the chest. I don't think we ever sat down and identified and found out exactly what everything was. We talked
No, we
Yeah.
about
didn't.
it, but we never actually did it.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think maybe that's what we should do. Then we can figure out what we got for funds, what we got for items that we might be able to use or trade or whatever.
Yep, I agree. It's with the rogue though.
The chest you guys picked up. You guys are looking at Gojin. He's looking at you.
Yeah.
You're looking at Gojin. He's looking at you. He's like, he's like, yeah, it's got a lot. I mean, we could take a look at some of it. So, the chest he had 596 platinum pieces, 4,035 gold pieces, 25,000 silver, and 918,000 copper.
Well, got a little bit of change.
Yeah.
I hate it when enemies don't accumulate all their money into easily givable
Yeah.
coins. Why can't they
And
all
they,
just be in pattern pieces and
So,
leave it at
yeah,
that?
so he's like,
just give us a gift card.
he's like,
Yeah, that'd be fine.
he's like, so here's 4,000 gold and 25,000
Okay,
silver and 918,000,
I can't
which
reach
I
them.
think is, let's see, the copper conversion would be 100. So it's still 9,000 copper or 9,000 gold pieces in copper alone. so, so he sets out like, it looks like 15,000 gold pieces basically.
Okay, 15,000. I'm
Yeah.
just writing that down so
That's
we
nice.
actually know.
Yeah. I'll put it in chat. That way you guys know.
Because I think one of the spells we could use would be something like plane shift. So then we can jump between here and Glorium and things like that when we need to. So if we can learn
That
that
makes
spell,
sense.
that'd be quite useful.
Is it a divine spell?
Uh, I think I can't remember what level divine is, or divination as it's called. So not sure. But yeah, I'm a big information guy. So those two spells would be quite useful.
I think Sorel has it.
Oh.
He should.
So is it a divine spell?
It's both. Cleric, sorcerer, summoner.
If it's cleric, then yeah. So, I'm just saying this because Sorel is our engine right now, and he might not be able to cast these. And We didn't bring Empress last time, so having a heal, backup spells on Azek, just in case, would be smart
Yep.
and both wise. But Azek
Yeah.
wouldn't know what's wise, so only smart.
Something else that may be useful is see if there's schematics to make a psionic spelljammer helm and I guess it's called a monk helm or a priestly helm. You know, a couple of helms, and if we can get a couple of them, we can rotate people in and out of the ship.
Shouldn't
I
have to
mean,
rotate. We should be able
it's
to create secondary
far,
turrets like that. One
it could be far from our fetch right now. To construct one, it's better to like take one from a pirate's vessel or something.
You can have more than one chair on the ship.
Yeah, you have
Yeah,
the secondary chair, but we can barely hear you, by the way, Tim. The secondary chair is a minor helm. The maximum, regardless of the level of the person sitting in a chair, is 6 for its movement, period. So regardless of the spellcaster level, it will only have a move of 6.
Didn't we see that one obelisk or whatever it was that had more than one chair? They were all
Oh
chained
yeah.
together.
Oh yeah, if you got the several 100,000 gold, it all works out that way. Putting all you guys at the table.
it's just if we had the schematics, we may have to build one, which would be cheaper than buying one, but we need to find the components. So it's possibly best for us to have the option of either or when the situation comes.
We need to find out which one was that weird gun that's on the ship too. That the one that's broken.
Yeah. That'd be nice to get repaired.
Mm. Want to repair one of your bombards, eh?
Yeah.
So Athena's looking at your group, drinking ale.
Give me a shout when I can start asking questions.
Go ahead. Your turn.
Okay, I'm just asking about the various at the moment the various things that the hazards and pitfalls and good things that are coming from being in the astral plane. My character knows a bit about it. I know a lot more, so I'm role
Well,
playing it as being my character.
yep. I understand that. She looks and says, there are portals that can randomly spawn. There are areas where magic is dead, and if you fall into those areas, it's very hard for your ship to move if it can at all. You need to have some other type of propulsion system. Otherwise, besides that, there are very, very dangerous areas. If you're concerned about your mortality, if you were mortal and you went into the Anad, you may have some problems. Then that is where I think you need to go to find other God bone. I mean, there's few places you could go. The Anad's the
Is
simplest one, but the Anad is not the safest one. It is governed by Anubis.
is that where we think the Baroque is, or we just don't know yet?
Don't know. You guys know for forging your Hekkas and Kekkas into what you want to make them, that has to be done inside the body of a dead god, because at their different chakras there are actually temples, and inside those temples are forges.
Sorry, Athena's alive. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
unless
Yes.
not not here.
Oh, did you go upstairs and
Yes,
start researching, or are you going to hang around and ask questions first?
I still need money.
Oh yeah, that money's on the table. So there's different prices there, but
Probably best if you work out how much money you need, then I can tell you because we've got
Um,
15,000 gold pieces. I don't know how much you need for them.
yeah, I'm on archives of Nephis, Nephis, Nephis.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nephis.
So research as well.
Hmm.
I forgot what you told us, Robert. Says determine total days of progress required to complete the research,
Hmm.
7 times the spell level.
Yep.
DC is 10 plus twice the spell level, and pay 100 gold piece times spell level for research cost.
There you go.
So it's really cheap, but it's gonna take a lot of days.
But it's the astral, so every 20 days is only 1 day back in your world.
Yeah, but still, we could use time differently. I mean,
Oh
I
yeah,
can't ask everybody to stay here for like half a year.
yeah.
Would you take the research to do the certain spells with you as we journey to go to see the next
No,
get
I
the
need
next
the
god pack?
library. I need the
Yeah.
library.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, the alternative is we can make a magic circle here, and I mean teleportation circle here and on the ship. That is, would that work, Robert?
Yeah, you could teleport back and forth. Well,
If
getting
Athena
into
would
her
allow.
world, yeah, that's the kicker there. No, probably not. If you're asking her if she's going to allow a teleportational circle, she says no.
Okay, fair.
She's hiding out.
I'm a survivor of the purge. I can't allow that.
Okay. Can we put it in front of that Cyclops that's guarding another teleportation circle to this place?
Um, I don't know. His central eye normally prevents a lot of magic from working around him, so I couldn't guarantee that would work.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But he is his own
If
creature. You can ask. You can always ask if you can find your way to him again. That in and of itself can be a difficulty.
I gotta ask another thing, Robert. So
Mhm.
spell level. What if a spell is of different level for cleric and somebody else?
Um,
Like plane shift.
if
It's
if
cleric
it's
5.
if it's cheaper for the class like cleric versus the wizard or someone else, then you have to pay the higher price because
Okay.
it's giving the favoritism to the original caster or the easier caster. So the benefit to their class is it's lower level.
So I need to pick the higher one.
Yep.
Okay. I'll put up a list in a few minutes.
Oh, that sounds good. Somebody's dying.
Trying to go upstairs. No,
You all sick over
wanted to
there?
go.
I'm glad you're on the other side of this microphone.
No, that's my dad.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hope he gets feeling better.
He's got a cough. We've had it for a while, so. All right. I just can't get upstairs because the laundry door's open. Go away.
That's Azek. Let's see. So, Sorrel, is there anything you wanted to talk to Athena about?
Um, what does she know of the god Ra?
Ooh, quite a bit. He was with me during the purge. besides his two sons, he was a very powerful greater deity in his time. What are you looking for specifically about him that you'd like to know? There's so much I know about him versus what it is you're looking for. And I imagine you have something specific in mind.
Or the mark.
Yeah, we activated an obelisk and it put this mark on us.
Ah. During the purge, several gods came up with a contingency plan should we fail. Ra's plan was those of a specific ethics and those who found something that he hid or was using to stop an evil, they could become branded. This branding was to tap into their soul energy and use only light amounts of it to help power devices that would prevent evil in areas from rising or breaking free from imprisonments that they had been kept in for quite some time. So the branding that all of you have, he swapped a piece of his essence with your essence. Now, even though he is dead, the obelisk he used, he invested his power to. He says, in some worlds they're called soul charms, in other worlds they're called trapped soul devices, in other worlds they're called horcruxes. These things that are an investment of one's soul or soul-like power is a little different. For Ra, he could not divest very much of who he was. That's not how it works for us. But the sliver he did shave off, and I do say sliver, was segregated into many different obelisks. I imagine you encountered this in an area of great evil.
Yes.
That was probably for centuries guarded by great good.
When
Yes.
we found it, it had a Nefershi undead guy, winter white or something, running on it.
That makes sense. That totally, that would make sense because the sliver would call to good. So in its existence, it would be a place that those of that alignment would feel more comfortable at without heavenly choirs singing praises and making it obvious that there's something you should look for here. It is not the way these kind of things are done. So in that scenario, it does not surprise me. Was there a great city of good around this obelisk? I would imagine there was, even if it wasn't a focal point of the town.
Well, there was.
There you go then.
Destroyed.
Yeah.
Now,
Great evil.
because of that branding, though, it does buy you some measure of passage. It was part of the reason I did not worry much about sending you to the Nod. But for any of you that don't have the brand, there would be choices that had to be made. When you enter into the Enad, where the dead gods are, it is actually governed by Anubis. And Anubis will force you to go through the processes of weighing one's soul. If your heart is heavier than a feather, you will be condemned to death by his hand. Anubis before the purge, well, at the start of the purge really, understood what was coming, and he sacrificed his divine existence to guard the dead gods. And in thus doing, he protected himself from the purge. She looks at all of you. You know what I'm talking about when I say the purge, right?
Mm,
No.
no. I'm not
Probably
sure.
be nice to go through it again.
The purge took place in multiple times. It varies between the different realities that exist out there. So we'll just say long ago, long ago. a race of axiomites decided to gather together to create creatures known as inevitables. The first ones they created were known as primals. Several of the primals' primary purpose, because they're a lawful creature, was to sort through the cosmos and begin tying up loose ends that they saw existed. Some of these loose ends were deities who did not have great amount of followers. Because of the dilution of faith in the cosmos, they believe was beginning to harm the one source that we all draw from. And to that end, primal inevitables, several of them, started the purge. They went through Pantheon and Pantheon. They themselves became, in their destruction of what they were doing, easily rose to the power of demi-deities very quickly. And their powers, because of the weakened state of the gods they were purging, was equal to or more than these gods could handle. So these inevitables, these primal inevitables, destroyed their way through the cosmos, ripping pantheons apart. That's why I am here. Most of the Greek pantheon, well, all of the Greek pantheon was purged. Our worship on the multiverse had lowered to the point to where for God, when we lose worshipers, when they drop from millions to thousands, we dim. When they drop from thousands to hundreds, we're about like you. And we don't go any lower. So if we're at the state of powerful mortals with some other key abilities, don't get me wrong, I can see how you're trying to use your Hekkas and Kekkas and forge those. I can see that radiance coming off you. That was already done millennia ago for me. So I understand that. So I am more powerful than you. But in the wake of one of these colossal, primal inevitables, it's not the case. She says, I can see by remnants of energy on your souls, it looks like one of the primals has been sending his minions after you. I can't tell which one, but I imagine it had probably something to do with the fact that your time aura is not stable. You've been to the plane in time and back, which means you may have gone to variant other times and changed things. They hate that. But that's the purge.
Yeah, we've done that.
That's the purge. There's still several primal inevitables. We did fight back. It wasn't just like it was a one-sided fight. We destroyed several of those. You're standing in the body of one of them exactly. This is actually a portion of his arm that I modified for my home. So all 100 levels of this is just his left arm. The rest of him buried below ground. I used the last of my power to slam what heavenly items I could and what elemental forces I could, and I basically buried him inside of a mountain and tore out his heart. Does that help? So you're now thinking, when you guys got to this tower rises up 100 stories. You could not see the top in the clouds above. This is an arm.
Oh, big. Really big.
Hmm.
A little bit bigger than the one we saw at Plane of Axis.
Yeah, this inevitable would have been bigger than Erodin's tower.
Fuck.
This might have been one of his legs.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys haven't
Yeah,
faced
he's
nothing like
really
that before.
friendly.
She snaps her fingers and all your cups refill. Yeah, it's a little scary when you finally realize exactly some of the things that are chasing you. But that's what us gods dealt with all of our existence. Most mortals think us gods work in our pantheon very friendly, and that's not true. If you'd ever read any of the myths of Ares, you would understand that I always wondered if his axe was going to end up in the back of my skull at some point, and if my father was going to have to bring me back because he destroyed me. When we met other Pathions, it was always war. I think there's a word some mortals use for it, jihad. It is always what happens. No ifs, ands, or buts. There can only be one Pathion of gods. There's not enough mortals to go around. And that's why we ended up facing the same thing. When there were other powerful deities, those that were the deities of law, some of those creatures like Primus, they saw the need to clean up the mortal realm's worshippers or deities and purged us. Everything has its time. Isn't that what Grota says? She looks over at Gojin. He goes, yes, everything has its time. When it's past its time, it needs to be destroyed. Has no use. Its time is past. So he goes, exactly. I just choose not to agree with Gorham. There you go.
If we forge our Heka and Keka, are we going to be subject to these inevitables?
Well, realistically speaking, no. You're already targeted by one. Whatever you did in your variance in time, you're already being hunted by a primal. There's just other things going on that's taking more of that primal's attention. Look at it like this. When its Q lightens up, you'll get the attention he wants to give you. And that's the easiest way to look at it. Look at it as a shopkeeper who has a rush. And his store is full. But at some point, his store will be empty. And if he did see someone steal from him, he may hire guards to send them down and bring them to justice. That is what will happen. But eventually, the inevitable will get tired of sending the lackeys because they are failing. And there will come a point when it will come itself. That's when you should really be worried. You're very powerful individuals. I would enjoy sparring with some of you in some ways. But that means none of the inevitables he could send at you will be a great challenge for you. I would imagine you would get maybe whatever primal. Now, primals have numbers. A lot of humanoid beings don't know this because of the rate and processing of the axionites to create the primals and the hive mind. When they were created through the hive mind, they turned around and they were numbered by first to last primal. That internal number is the number of which creatures they will always use against you. It'll either be maybe one iteration or two iterations or three iterations of that number, but never normally more. Once you hit that third iteration and you get down to the second iteration and then you get down to the first iteration, after that first iteration, you can guarantee you're probably going to see it. It's just the process they use that we discovered during the culling.
Seems logical that creatures created for law would have a pattern.
Exactly. We didn't realize that initially because of it appeared to be a random number of beings that were coming at us. But what we didn't understand was for a while there was a joint force of two primals coming against some of the Pathions, so their numbers intertwined. It wasn't, well, it was, who was the first one to figure it out? I would like to say it was Ptah who mentioned it to us because we had a truce for a while. The Anad and the Greek Pantheon, we both had a kind of truce for a little while against these things. I think it was Ptah, the traveler, that figured this out before his destruction.
Can you give us an example of how this would work?
Sure, a primal has usually 4 banks of creatures that it controls. We will consider them standard shock troops, uh, advanced shock troops, powerful shock troops, and then they have executioners. So 4 bands, let's say hypothetically speaking. This can vary to primal. They will turn around and send a wave equal to the number that they actually are in shock troops. Then they may add 2 of the band of powerful or 3, and then go back to only 2 of, say, the advanced, because they're following a logical pattern to themselves. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It is maybe 1, 3, 2, 4. So they'll do odds, then they'll do evens, and then once they hit their number, be it an odd or an even number, they will give up and they will come themselves. Now, that iteration cycle could go the number that they are. That's why it's complex for most mortals to see it this way, because it seems like it's chaos, but it's actually not. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, this primal is 3. He may do 3 iterations of the full pattern I just said before he becomes tired and does it himself. So he may do a 1, 3, 2, 4 against you 3 times, and then he gives up and says he's just going to come and destroy you himself because he is the first, he is the one.
Yeah.
And then he might try up to a number of his existences or his number, internal number. If he can't beat you but needs to retreat, because they will do this, they will pull back. They are not till they die type beings. It will enlist another primal, and then their patterns will intermingle. So if Primal 1 and Primal 2 are doing a 1, say Primal 1 does a 1, 3, 4, or 2, 4, the other one may do a 4, 2, 3, 1, and they'll mesh their patterns together. And if you don't know it, you won't be able to segregate it out. I do think, oh geez, who was it that actually did this before their destruction? There was a, ooh, I think it was, yes, there was a mortal by the name of Heracles. All that's left of Heracles is his head in the Isle of the Dead. He figured out their mathematical patterns and explained it to us before his destruction. He wasn't destroyed by the inevitables. He was destroyed by Aphrodite, I believe. But that's another story. But he figured out the rhyme and reasons to mathematical patterns, and he can spot them on sight, normally after 2 encounters, and normally tell you which primal's chasing you. He was a great asset to us. I believe it was Hercules that actually rescued his head from the Isle of the Dead. And Ares carried it for a while, but Ares fell, I believe, in the Elysium Fields fighting against an inevitable, and he was blasted from the Elysium Fields to the first plane of hell. So I believe it's down there, maybe somewhere around Tiamat's area. It wouldn't have any value. There's lots of screaming heads down there, but you'd know his by a mithril crown that he wears and a pearl in the center of it if you wanted to find him to help you later on. His head cannot be destroyed. When Aphrodite tore it from his body, she said, "Forever will you look upon the world and wonder." So that head can't be destroyed.
What was
Well,
his name again? Sorry.
Heracles.
Okay.
Besides that, an incredible mathematician. So
Well, thank you very much.
Is there a way to get an inevitable to stop chasing you?
Destroy it. Or somehow battle it to a truce that it believes you can parlay. If you can get an inevitable close to the point you believe you're going to kill it and you ask to parlay, it may talk to you and tell you what will satisfy it. Most inevitables, primals that is, send a messenger to tell you what you've done wrong. It's usually the first messenger you meet.
That's
But
weird.
if
We didn't get any.
no, you did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you did. Oh no, you did. You did.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you did. You did. Tim even knows.
He told,
Yeah, Tim even
he
knows.
told us.
Yep. I told you outside of Rodin's Tower. Or actually inside of Rodin's
Yeah.
Tower.
Inside the tower.
Yep.
We didn't matter at the time because it was
It's like, what the
insignificant.
fuck are you talking about? Right. It's exactly it. It's like, I got so many other problems on my plate right now. You telling me I'm a variance, not a big motherfucking deal. And that's
Yeah.
like, okay. Well, he's not attacking. He walked away.
And from then on, every time we put time in any way, shape, or form, they popped up.
She says, I
I
do.
remember them coming at us. I just didn't remember that
Yeah.
this. I'm like just
Oh,
joined
yeah.
the party.
So,
We had to survive the tower.
so she turns around and looks at you guys too and says, also understand that the inevitable, by its rotation cycle, has at least 1,000 of each of its minions inside of its body. It is its personal transportation device for these things. Inside the inevitable's body, just like you see a feasting hall here and a library, there are portal rooms, there are areas of viewing, there are areas of casting energies into other planes of existence and scrying. Inside one of these primal inevitables is a psionic wizard priest's dream, but it's also filled with inevitables who maintain the primal. That's like, there's a god bone here, I would imagine, because this inevitable killed so many gods, and they do keep stasis fields of some of the samples they take. But I wouldn't tell you to go into the bowels of this because you would be facing the inevitables that are down there. And that in and of itself could end your existence.
Well, this was fun.
Really gave us a feeling of true optimism there.
Oh, I'm just saying, there's so many fields of energy that work inside even the dead body of an inevitable that without your hekkas and kekkas, you could hit areas where there's absolutely no magic functioning whatsoever, or psionic ability, or divine power, because their job was to clean up connections to the source. That includes divine powers too. So they have ways of severing connections to the source. And I don't know if you know this, but primal inevitable, some of them, if they hit individuals who touch the source, they can sever that. You literally would have to go before the God who imbued you to get the connection back. It's not like it's a, oh, it goes away in a couple days. It was a little owie. No, primals can sever you from the source forever until it's restored by a being who's stronger than the inevitable that did it. That's how they killed a lot of us. The weaker ones who were primarily life, healing, love, divination based, they were closer to the source. That was not me. The reason I'm standing here in front of you is because I'm primarily a warrior. I kick ass, and I know I kick ass. I don't require a lot of the Sorth powers to do what I do. So that's why I'm kind of the last one standing. Ares used a lot of elemental powers. Ares drew a lot of his power from the different elements. That's why they were able to chase him down and get him. But You do have with you those that don't draw on the sources, that don't. And she looks at Gojin. She said, some mortals can go in areas that as you gain more powers, you will eventually be denied going to. As you were looking and standing on the cusp of doing this, there is great power for you to gain, but there are limitations. There are reasons why we didn't walk the world with our worshippers, why we didn't sit in thrones inside their greatest cathedrals, and why we didn't throw mountains at the other gods that would dare slight us. We couldn't. We could manifest in mortal realms as avatars. That's true. But avatars are fractions of what we are. Let me explain it this way. Your Runehide warrior, I know him and of him. My avatar is as strong as him. So how strong does that make me if he is 1/20th of my power? This inevitable we're standing in, I killed. I didn't have other gods helping me. I destroyed this inevitable. I purged it of most of its minions so that I could survive here and hide here, because the last place they have the ability to see is inside themselves. Yeah, that's why we're here and I'm here and why I'm hidden. So you have to weigh that. When you forge your Hekkas and Kekkas, you'll gain the abilities of some minor gods, pretty much. You'll gain the requirements to stay and follow their laws too, or you'll be hunted down. And just because you're ignorant of them, just like with time, it's not their problem. It's yours.
So we're standing in an inevitable,
Yes.
and they have power to like kill gods and equal them in power, right?
Primals only. Yes. Primals only.
But we couldn't be able to forge our Hekkas here, since we're in basically that primal, maybe.
They don't have the temples because they weren't worshipped.
Oh,
What you're
yeah.
going to need is you're going to need to find what was once a living god. She goes, since you're on this path and since I don't know how long it'll be before eventually I am found, I will kind of give you more information on gods that have passed or existing too. Many gods have many points of interest, and these points of interest are known as chakras. These chakras are ways at which the energy of worship flows into our being. It actually directly connects to not only the astral, but the source. And this biodirectional place, actually, as we gain worshipers, creates more powerful chakras. When a chakra becomes incredibly engaged, let's say we are a deity of the mind, our greatest chakra will probably be closer to the skull. Whereas if we are warriors, our chakras closer to our muscles and things like that will be the more stronger temples. But those temples actually hold the sparks of the great heroes that have served us and many of those that have perished along with it. What we take is part of the spark energy that is their memories before we make them petitioners and put them onto the planes of existences where they worship us, fight in battles, and live their lives. By removing their memories and that experience, that energy that's gleaned off of the top of the spark does not destroy the spark, it cleanses it so that it can once again be reborn into mortal realms and once again collect the magical experiential like energy that ripples around it for us gods to then not really feed off of, but it brings in and adds to our ability to fuel the miracles that we do for other mortals. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
So you could look at it as we allow the sparks to ferment. They give us good alcohol, but that does not destroy the chemical that actually created the fermentation. And we put it back into the world once again to ferment and bring this nourishment kind of in a way to us. That's what you're looking for, is those types of chakras. So if you can identify the god, you'll know the one you need to go to because it won't be a lesser one. The person who guided you probably had very limited knowledge of deities, so probably told you you'd need to find a couple different chakras possibly or look around. I'm telling you, if you can identify the god, then you'll know what his primary spheres of power were, and those relate to the chakras closest to that point on that being. So if they were a god of love, look for a chakra close to the heart, right? Their god of knowledge, look for a chakra in the mind. There you go. Hope that helps.
Would heroes that serve God of Love be weaker for our forging than
No,
remains of heroes that worship?
they passed. Those spheres of influence that they had, the rippling energies that gave them their spheres of
Yeah.
controls and their domains of control that they pass on to other true source wielders like priests or druids, etc.,
Mhm.
those have now ceased to exist. They flow out. Only thing that's left inside of these now massive husks of a dead god are these temples and forges where that energy used to collide. If you take your materials there, it just allows you to forge them into what you need. Does that make sense? So it's the remnants. It provides you nothing more than a mortal's way of forging these without having to go through the process the original elder gods went through.
Yeah.
And in case you
Okay.
don't know what the elder gods did, they created these forges by sacrifices. You can create the mystical energy to actually forge a Heka and a Keka once you figure out what they are by sacrifice. I'll give you an example. It's on your world. His name's Kaisis. In one fell swoop, he sacrificed 2 million of his worshippers gathered around his zuggurat. By instantly killing them through the glyphs that he had laid throughout his entire city, he channeled all of that death, fear, and soul power to the top of his zuggurat by magical means. There it forged into a source of energy. That source of energy is the forge. It's not going to look like something that's got an anvil and a hammer, guys, gals. It's actually just going to be a remnant of energy. His allowed him to forge what he needed to become a god. You're not looking at becoming gods. So by using the echoes of what's left, and there is always something left inside of these. In case you didn't know, that's why they get the Yankee dig on them. They're looking for powers of the gods, immortality, these temples. They know these temples exist. They just don't know where to locate them because usually they inhabit the remnant gods that are not inside the Anad. Because if they go in the Anad, they fear Anubis because he is still a god. And when you sell there, if you do, those of you that have Heka and Keka from Ra can say you are only seeking to do what Ra wants you to do. But he will slay Gojin at the blink of an eye. And any who does not bear the mark of Ra, he may force them directly into Osiris's choosings. It's an old process. That's where your heart's weighed. That's where feathers brought in. That's where they got all this other really ancient, freaky Egyptian stuff go on, for lack of a better term for you guys. But if you fail, you're destroyed. But there's a difference. But there's a difference. There's a difference. Anubis, when he destroys you, shatters your spark. You cease to exist. Stepping out of role play for a second, guys. If Anubis has judged you and he judges you wrong, it's a permanent of the character. Not even a god can bring you back. He will destroy the spark that's in each and every one of you. And that's what she kind of conveys. She looks at Sorel and says, there is no power, not even empresses, not even a god you might worship, that can bring that person back if it's been judged through that process. It's why it exists. There are some heavenly tenets that are not undoable. It is the same way in which Pharasma judges. She has this power too.
I see.
Now, one thing you can do here that may help too is you may be able to access the upper layers, the top layer of what I consider my lower halls. There may be devices there that will tell you where the inevitables are working on purging, because the purge is still going on. It's not over. It's never over. But if you know where that's at, you could possibly get to a part of wild space where that's happening on the other side and maybe wait for one to come through of the unfortunates, because it happens.
Do you know of any way we can weigh our own
No,
souls?
no,
So we will only find out if we stand in front of Anubis.
absolutely. And you must understand their scale is different than what you might think. It has zero to do with how you feel about yourself. It has to do on how they judge you. How many elderly women have you stopped your campaign for to make sure they had a good home? How many children have you fed with the rewards from slaying a dragon? How many cultures have you uplifted with your knowledge and your power? Those are the things you should worry about. Because you destroyed the dragon that was saving the town means nothing if you didn't help the town that had been raided by the dragon many times.
Sure.
The way their pantheon worked was more along the benefit of those. Now, you must understand, Anubis judges only the hires or the radiance. The profane are automatically destroyed. Anything close to profane. And I will be honest, I see how the indecision ripples through your party. It's easy to stand on the cusp of neutrality and say, not my problem, until you're judged for it. But then again, the same is true if you find yourself in profane realms. That same neutrality will bite you in the butt every time. On the fence, off the fence, not straddling the fence. Many gods don't like that. That's why you don't see a predominance of neutral deities if you've ever cared to look. Their teachings always seem to say help or hurt, not fuck with them. A few gods will do that, but they're mainly evil. She chuckles. I think there was a mask once in one of the spheres, gray spheres, I think it was, Forgotten Realms. That's where I used to have worshippers.
The old empire was still there when I was living in Toril.
Yeah. Yeah, it was the action of a few great heroes like yourself that destroyed it. She moves her hand and you see an illusion appear, just floating in the air. You can see what looks like chunks of rock floating in the astral. There's Toril now. Some of it, as you see, straddles internally on and off of the plane of the astral. Other chunks just float aimlessly in there. There are still cities living there. They literally have a flat world they live on and a chunk of rock that they can fall off of, though. And if they fall into the astral.
You
Heroes like
mean
you did that.
there are still people from Toril
Yes.
living on there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I believe the High Forest and the Clip of the Anarch are still in existence. I have no worshippers there, so I can't view it, but I do know it exists. There are still parts of the Sword Coast that exist, but a lot of these realms are slowly getting enveloped by a plane that's pulling towards some of them in their despair. Have you ever heard of the realm of the dead, the Grey Lands? The miscall to those parts that lose. See, it's the belief of mortals that cause pieces of reality or physical material plane to shift into another. Have you ever wondered where all of the pieces of the first plane of hell came from? I'll give you a glimpse into the reality of your existence, mortals. None of the planes of existence except the prime material plane have material realms. The hells had no physical stone. Elysium had no physical rock. none of these places had any physical substance. But as more mortals aligned in different worlds to these places, the material plane they existed on ceased to be a place they desired to be, and slowly their piece of prime material shifted into that realm and made it. Same is true of Mount Celeste. Same is true of Olympus. Same is true of all. They all came from mortal worlds, mortal prime material planes.
Can I just ask something as a character?
Yeah.
What edition are we using here? Because it's just second edition. They were coming from Concordant and Opposition, weren't they? Being dragged into all the
hmm
wheels.
There's some
Is
that
that still? Sorry, is that the one we're doing? Is it, or is
it's a
it the
mesh.
fourth edition cloud thing?
Oh no,
Right.
no. I'm actually doing a mesh of the two, and this is part of it just being my own homegrown. So
Right.
because I played through
Okay.
first, second, third, fourth, and fifth edition, and Pathfinder first edition, and some Pathfinder 2, and some. So I kind of like, from stopping the game for a second, that is the enjoyment I think I bring to the characters is you can't open up a source book and know the answer. You actually have to play in my game to
Mhm.
know the response and where it's coming from. But I will say that I do pull from those sources, but I find ways for them to intermingle. And then, of course, as a writer, you have to take your own creative levity too, right? Because
Oh yeah.
here's a great example. Coordinate opposition didn't exist until somebody decided to put it in the back of a player's handbook, right? They had to write it. So I'm kind of doing that thing too. So
I can't believe you said that. Someone wrote a Mondrus compendium with it in.
I
You're
know.
dissing them.
I
You're
know.
dissing them.
Imagine all the stuff Monty Cook wrote. Shit. So,
Sorry.
but so she says from my, and now I want to stop it for a second so you guys understand too. A lot of the power gods have come from their perception, and it is their divine perception of the multiverse actually makes matter move around them. So I do play heavily into the more powerful the god is, the greater their sphere of control is, and the greater the world moves around them. So, in other words, if let's say I took Zeus and he decided to land on the top of a mountain in a inside a mortal realm, because he's a greater god, has maybe in my game 21 levels of salient power, anywhere around 21 miles around him may be swathed in lightning if he chooses to be, or could be as calm as a summer day. It is literally like he uses create demiplane on a prime material plane, and it is actually physically real, period. He has literally changed that world walking on it while he's doing it. When he leaves, does it revert back is his choice. So they can literally terraform entire planets by walking through it in their perception. Now, when two gods, let's say you got a god from hell meets a god from heaven, the heavens, and one's got radiant glow of Mount Celeste, the other one's got the prime. They actually still don't see each other. They see them standing on their plane of control, even though they're controlling powers. The only way that's different is if one's stronger and one's weaker, they can actually override that other god's perception. So, like, let's say you had Hades, who might be a level 21 god, and you have standing on the other side Athena, who's maybe only a level 16 god. Hades can turn around and make Athena very aware she's standing in the hells with him, and she has no choice about it. So, if he wants to make it burning hot to her, he can do that too. That's the way it works. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that kind of plays into a lot of the second edition Forgotten Realm stuff. And I did really like the power perception of that. And anybody who's ever had times of trouble kind of plays into that too. So, hope that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I'm just sort of trying to pin down the parts that are being used here, that was the one that got me.
Well,
'Cause
and
I thought,
the other thing too, though, is you always have to play from the scope of the character, otherwise it's overplay. So, from the scope of the character, if if Jolie doesn't have higher than a 20 intelligence or doesn't have great ranks in knowledge, planes, and religion, it might not be something Jolie even cares to understand. You know,
Oh yeah, this is. I suppose in theory, this is not Jolie that's interested
it's you. You're
necessarily.
just
It's
under.
me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
this is just you're just getting some of my writing prompts. That's what I'm telling you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so that's how I kind of grasp.
I have an interest in world building, so
Right.
when it's all coming together, I find it interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing in mine too. So normally you guys don't make it to this level. I think Tim can agree that it's been over 8 years since players got, maybe even 10 since players got to this level in the game. So to actually see this stuff. I don't throw this
It's
at
been a
you at
while.
first level. This is, I think the last time, wasn't it, Tim? You guys were actually in second edition. You got this high.
Yeah, we got when we took out the Worm God.
Yep.
Then we went to the Isle of Fate.
Yep. Yeah. So, and that's where they started working on Epic Seeds in third edition. So that was the last time. And to give you guys an idea when that was 2003. So yeah, about 20 years ago. Most of these games you guys run through, a lot of the players, my players say, they hit the end of a story arc and that's good and they want to try different characters. So they never want to push it past that. That's why I always give everyone the option. I say we can go further, but this gets deeper into the wheels of the machine. So which may or may not be fun. Because it's easy to predict what's happening 15th levels and under because no one's going to throw, you're never going to randomly run into Anubis. But now you guys are 20th level, 5 mythic, you're sailing out here, you go to the Enad, there's a very high probability you're going to see Anubis, you know. And what's Anubis? Well, Anubis may be 60 plus levels, plus mythic 10, plus have salient abilities as well, and may have well over 7,000 hit points, which makes him basically unkillable by your group, you know. And that's not really fair, but if you don't do your research before you go to a place and you get stomped on, that's not my fault. That's just why I think these things are important to have these chats and talk about where we're going next. Because just like you guys ran from the Netheloid or the spider ship.
Neogi.
Neogi, there you go. Sorry, it was escaping my mind for a minute. That was a weaker Neogi ship. What if you did hit a fleet of them? And what if they got bigger ships than just that spider? What if some of these have like dreadnoughts or larger classed planet ships that have massive amounts of major helms in them? Because if I can put one major helm in a ship, or maybe two, what can I do with one that's the size of a small planet? You're not outrunning that one, how are you? So you got to kind of look at it like that. So you guys right now have an element of if you're encountering one or two small ships, you can outrun them, run away, little girl kind of thing. But at some point, if the encounters rules go against you, you could come across a fleet, and that's a different scenario. So then it's like, oh boy, what are we doing here? So, and don't forget, at any time you can say, I'm done and plane shift back to real if you want to, or to Glorian, or to Earth, you know.
I mean, now you've told Dolgy that places in Faerun are actually still around here
I
somewhere.
showed
He
you.
would love to go and see him,
Oh yeah, totally.
but it's not the quest we're on at the moment. So.
Yeah, and unofficially, you can visit, but I won't do adventures in Toril until I get a group that says they want to fix what was undone or undo what was done, and it's possible. I have a quest already written for the repair of Toril. I wrote that in 2003 after you guys blew the fucker up. Just saying, wasn't me that did it. It was a party. You all there was 8 people and they all decided.
Plus
You do
5
exactly
magical
what?
hammer.
Tim was the unfortunate vote that really did it in, but yeah, he knows that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got Azek wanting to do research. You understand that there is Anubises in the Anad, and that there are other ships out there that can be bigger, and fleets of these ships. It's not just pirates everywhere. In fact, for like the Neogi, and Athena goes on, for the Neogi and a few of the other risks, like the Shakarth, they actually are only spacefaring. So they do have large fleets of ships in their territories. She does share with you a map. And says that this map will help you navigate some of the areas that she's aware of a little better. And I will make this available to you guys. You can see it right now.
Thank you.
This is what she knew of space and where some of the empires were. But this is from her recollection in astral time, maybe 1,000 years old. So it's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's fairly close. Most empires don't fully collapse within 1,000 years. So,
Is there a god you were partnered with that died and nobody else knew about it?
what's that?
If she could tell us of a god that died and nobody else but her knew about it.
You mean perished outside of the purge?
Mhm.
Yeah, a couple.
Can you point us in their direction? If there's a chance they weren't discovered, then, you know.
Yes. Nike perished close to the gray. And I'll draw an X on your map for that.
Mhm. I see, great. What's Morag, by the way?
So
Is
there's
that
an
a god?
X. And then,
What is this? Just asking to read the map.
what's that? What's Morag?
Morag.
She
Is that
says,
that god?
no. That's just another place.
Oh, okay.
These
Why
are
does it
these
have
are
a
all
skull?
spheres. These are all spheres. So
What does the skull mean?
the skull means it's
Oh,
probably notable. If you look over at the legend, it should show you.
yeah, humanoids. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
She said, and he, Kate, fought some adventurers and was destroyed. And the plane they were on was close to the plane of rage, right about here. There you go.
Can you ping it? I don't see it. I found gray.
Yeah, I'm sort of looking for the X's. I'm not quite.
Here, I'll make
So
them a
there's
different
one
color.
there.
Rage is towards the bottom left. If
Oh.
if you
Ah,
if you go
yeah.
across the bottom and see Jade, go straight up.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. I haven't found the gray yet.
Gray is
There's a triangle
to
right
the
in the
top
middle.
and to the right from rage. Like really close. Second
Pretty
named
much.
one. Like go from rage to cluster and above.
Middle left.
Oh, okay.
Of
I see
the
it.
bit.
I'll make them a little
Yeah.
bigger.
I see.
Would you have any idea of where the soul of a rock is, or is it in Anubis's place?
It's in Anubis's.
And where are
And that's
we?
the Anad, by the way.
Yeah.
Where are we exactly?
She says, you are right here.
Oh.
But you have to remember, distance is irrelevant in the astral. She says the lines on this map are a mental notion of travel between spheres. But understand, if you miss your navigation, you could go from Ixtlan here all the way to Endera. Even though there's not a straight path, you still navigated the spheres improperly and ended up there. So these aren't necessarily roads. There are some arrows that show the way things flow. If you notice, Endera flows here to here to here to here. So leaving Endera, you're almost guaranteed to go this way until at some point you leave Endera and then maybe you go this way, which could end up leading you over to this way. This is not like you're riding a cart down a road. This is all how skilled is your navigator to navigate these spheres.
I think that's possibly something we need to think of doing. Azek's
And
idea of creating a few headbands of intelligence with the skills put in, and maybe
I'm going to move.
We've been told not. We can't use that.
oh, okay.
And I moved
And
your
on the
ship
pad.
to the location you were at. So, you know, right there. Move everybody to the ship so you guys can see it. Yes, it's a big cosmos out there. It's not a small world after all. So, summarize from going back to the tower. Because I know this can be a little, first I want to make this map visible to you all. So you can go back and forth. This will be all players. It'll now show up in your top navigation bar like the Blackoak does. So you'll notice you probably got a little arrow at the top. If you go up there, you'll notice Blackoak. It's over by the anvil, and you'll see also now you'll see the astral map available.
Nice.
Um,
Can we go back to Athena's temple?
yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move you guys back there real quick.
Oh.
You read my mind. Check you out. You already knew where I was going. You guys are getting used to me as a DM. I got to start changing shit up. I'll go out and get some Vampire the Masquerade shit. Y'all can get blood counters. Fuck this shit.
Oh, not again.
Yeah. I did my fill of that game, and that was in the 90s.
It's one of those games that I went running straight for werewolf.
Yes.
The apocalypse.
Oh,
It's like,
yes.
this is too weird for me.
Yeah, it
Too
was.
much.
I found Shadowrun was funner. You know, it was because maybe it was closer to just being really D&D. You know, that's all it was. So, okay.
Yeah, Shadowrun's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not anymore. 5th edition, it's guys in vans. I'm the guy in the van, man. All right, you guys are. That's all right. Take out the guy in the van and you get him. All right.
Cool.
The attack team's worthless without the guy in the van. There you go. All right. Athena slides the map over to you, Sorrel, and then says, by no way I'm giving this to anyone being. Anyone that thinks about seeing it will see it. So this map is now actually part of that aura of your sparks. Now, your vessel, if destroyed, will not show up on it. Only a vessel that you are attuned to as a helmsman will you see. So it can help you track that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You will not be able to view that map if you're in areas where magic is prevented, because to see it does touch the source.
Good to know.
Is there more questions you would have of me?
You talked about the the obelisks of Ra producing a magical energy.
Yes.
Would that be used to track them? And how would we do that if we could?
Okay. So Several quasi-deities and deities did things in the past. Do you know of the iron medallions that devils wear? Anybody with knowledge religion can make that roll. It is a DC 25. If you've already got more than 25 points in it, you don't have to roll.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
automatic.
Ranks? 25 ranks.
Yes.
Okay.
Oop. Oh, come on.
In religion?
Yes, in
Damn
religion.
it.
25 ranks.
Okay.
Easily got.
My rank. Okay. Oh, once the screen loads back up.
Anybody that gets higher than 25, the others who made it, which Sorrel's already made it, can tell them too. The iron medallions that devils possess allow them to protect their souls and their spiritual energy from destruction. Now, there was a running thing that if you kill a demon or a devil off its plane, it has a spirit, so it dies and cannot be resurrected. This is not true of devils who have forged an iron necklace or medallion that possesses their power or what they'd call their spirit. This allows them to be resurrected. Unfortunately, this also allows them to be controlled. So if someone gets a hold of this, it's almost like a phylactery in some ways and a necklace of command in another way to that devil. So they are heavily guarded if they even create them. Creating one is a vulnerability, but also allows them to have contingency plans to come back versus dying and say devils going into the pit of dis and all of a sudden have to be reforged in the flames of eternity. So why does that matter? Well, Ra's obelisk acted like that for him. He stumbled across a devil's. She said, this is what was related during a fireside chat with Ra on these things. He created the obelisk because he'd come across a devil by the name of Gratz who had figured out how to sever parts of his soul into multiple devices. These devices he used as powerful items he gave to his heroes: a belt, gloves, boots, a weapon, a helm, a chest plate, by putting them in these things. Yeah, guys, I created Horcruxes 25 years ago before the story ever came out. Tim will verify it. He used that. He used that same trick with these obelisks so that those that were worshippers of his that found the obelisk would find the power to awaken the energy within and brand themselves, thus putting a sheen to their sparks because they would have to be powerful to find them. If they went out and searched for the other ones, then they could slowly help reforge him. What that would do is give them the ability to do a proper prayer. If they created a cult that did this prayer, they could reawaken him. Because you see, when a god dies and goes to the astral, it's temporary. If we get worshippers again for any reason, we'll slowly begin to come back. But it takes a lot of them. It's not like five guys in a room with a beer all cheering one another brings Caden back. It's more like 5,000, maybe 500,000, 5,000,000. But either way, at a point, the source will reattach to them. And when the source does, they're alive again. They're back. So that's what Ra was doing. He didn't want to burden his worshippers that may be unfit to call him back. So he hid the obelisk. He knew he was going to die, and he knew that at some point Osiris would rise. So he built these as his protection from Osiris. Had he been so simple as to give powerful heroes pieces of him and devices, he knew Horus would easily see that, especially since his wife was Isis, the goddess of magic. Would it snuff it out like that? So he did the best thing he could. During his life, he created these obelisks to hold down and prevent magical evil forces from rising from areas that had become so profanely tainted that they had now marred their prime material plane, and also provided him a way back because he knew Osiris. He knew he was going to lose his fight with Set, and he knew Osiris was going to rise as ruler of the Pantheon after his death, but he still wanted a way back. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, another question would be, is this going on YouTube? Because I think I need to watch it again. There's so much information to
Yeah.
try and take
Yeah, I'm
down.
recording. Yes, I'm recording.
Yes,
Cool. Thank God for that. Because I'm like, I'm getting bits, I'm not getting others. It's sort of, it's like being hit with a tidal wave. You get some of it, and some of it goes right past you.
Yeah.
Is that the way it's been for the last 34 years, Tim?
Yep. You get bits and pieces. You do a brain burn for a couple months trying to figure out what the fuck was just said.
We'll play catch up.
Yeah. That's why you'll hear me and Brian go, oh, brain burn,
I need a brain
overload.
bucket.
I've
Yeah.
actually worked it out. I don't think you're here to be the GM. I don't think you love role playing. You just love to burn the brains of the people who
No.
play it.
Oh,
You just
no.
want to see them, laying there with dribbling
Oh,
and coming
you
down
guys
their
are
ears and stuff like that.
that's why I got it's like an iceberg, because even that god only has a tip of the information that's available.
Yeah.
There's so much more below it. It's like, and man, you guys are just getting information that's kind of all in.
Yeah.
There's so much more. There's so much more.
I think we need to
I can't piece it
all
together.
invest together in a librarian to keep hold of all this information. They could sort it out right.
I don't know. I don't know if that would work. We have so much misinformation.
Yeah.
Just the way I would
The truth,
recant it would be, yeah.
always remember,
Yeah.
truth is a matter of perspective.
Yep.
So, who is the person
Yep.
telling you that is their truth? And that's always how I will run the game. The game, there is no, this is the final truth to everything, because it's
Official history. Yeah.
right. There's always a perspective, and it's usually written by the victor. So, that's the way it works, you know. So, even if you get to the most
I'm not
powerful
complaining.
god on the planet, he'll look down and give you his perspective and say, no, it never worked that way. But it's the fun in storytelling, isn't it? So,
Yeah. I'm
Yeah, I
not
get it.
complaining about it all.
oh,
It's
oh
just a
yeah,
lot to take in.
oh
I'm
yeah,
enjoying it, but it's like,
that's
yep,
good.
another page,
That's why
I
another
am,
book.
I'm not normally the novice player's DM, as you can tell. So,
that's why I'm sitting back going, I should take the back seat and let the new guys take the brunt of the tidal wave.
Yeah, let him burn their brains for a few months. Thanks. Yeah.
Let's see what they come up with. Maybe they'll come up with something new that we ain't thought of, and holy crap, we can advance this. All right, finally.
so what you guys figured
know?
out so far this session, kind of as a recap a little bit, is Athena's tower is the body of an inevitable. There could be a god bone within it, but that would be actually going through levels of inevitables below to maybe locate that. You do know that there is a possibility that within one level below the tower, that there is a device that could see where the current primals are fighting at, and that would give you a location of where a god may be getting ready to enter into realm space or into wild space and die. Okay? Your third option is to go to the Anod, but going to the Anod will instantly probably kill Gojin, and there could or could not be, for the non-goods, a process they go through that, if Anubis catches you and makes you do the process, could eradicate the character. It means rewrite. So those are the things you discovered today, along with gaining a map. So, and I know I was only going to keep this at a couple hours, so I didn't want to bleed into other schedule stuff. So I wanted to give you guys a kind of recap of it. If that kind of works, is there anything else? Azic's doing his training too, and actually not really training, he's researching spells. Were there more that you wanted to do, or if you want, we can also move this to the forums too, in the planning section. If there's other things you guys have questions about or want to do, I'll give short answers there.
I got questions about the ship. Is there any,
Okay.
you know,
What
Yeah.
questions? Go ahead.
well, number one, how do we repair that main bombard that been broken since we've gotten it.
Oh, that will
And
actually
it's
be an
fixed enough.
engineer's job. So you need to have somebody that actually has engineering skills. Siege engineer will get an easier role than a regular engineer, because there is siege engineering in the game.
I've got engineering. I'm trained in it, but not real well.
There you go. So the DC to fix that, from what you've been able to tell, is higher than you can roll, as you know. So, and right now your problems are, if you go for a spaceport to find more people, you also end up with the traveling encounters, which you could be lucky and get several good encounters that, and don't get me wrong, guys, my encounter charts are, I'm not going to lie, they're 80% bad and 20% neutral and good. So it's not 50-50. But I do got them sprinkled between. It's not a higher than. It's a 1 to 20, and I do have, like, on the 20-sided dice roughly, I think it's several different numbers that correlate to absolutely beneficial encounters to you, neutral encounters, and then absolutely horrible counters.
Yeah, not looking like.
And if I roll a 1, you're all meeting a dreadnought. That is on my chart. And the dreadnought comes with at least anywhere from 2 to 20 support ships.
But
I'll be honest.
Have history. Does it have its own baggage?
What's that? The Blackoak? Athena's never heard of it. I can honestly tell you, Athena's never heard of the Blackoak. That is not something you can research here. It does have its own sub storyline, but not here.
It's got a name, it's got history, so it's got to have some type of baggage.
Yeah. What was that, Isaac?
Are you guys interested in checking out Nike and the other god, maybe? Is there an option? Is that an option for us?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
no, I was asking them specifically,
yeah.
like, do you guys want to go there, or is it a no-go? Because if yes, I'm gonna try and get more info on them.
Like the Anad, me?
Well, I think he's talking about forging your Hekkas and Kekkas. If you guys can find Nike or Hecate, you could possibly find a god that has a temple you could do your forging and get that part of your questing done. But you would not find a god bone that would not give you a god bone. The Anad might give you a god bone. It's a higher probability there, but there's a lot more risk. The other thing that might give you a god bone is the first layer, or the basement layer, we'll call it, of this inevitable you're in.
I thought we had a place we could go to forge, but it was
yes, you were told to go to the Anad by Gwendolyn, but she didn't know it was guarded by Anubis. Had you blindly gone to the Anad when you first got your ship, you guys would have been a big hurt. Because, as I say, you only get the perspective of reality from the being you're talking to. And Gwendolyn does not have the knowledge religion skills that, say, Athena does. Gwendolyn has a knowledge religion with 25 ranks in it. Athena's got knowledge religion with 65 ranks in it. So she knows what's going on there. And she was part of the purge, so she could warn you away a little bit.
I mean, I'm quite happy to go to those two as well. They sound interesting places, at very least, to go and see. My question would be, would Gwendolyn, does Athena know that if we can bring Gwendolyn back, would that help our cause in, for example, with Anubis, for example, finding the obelisks of Ra? Are we gaining some kind of a tactical advantage? I'm still going to get Gwendolyn back because we need her back, but would we gain some kind of a tactical advantage on those fronts if we had Gwendolyn up and running?
If you can get Gwendolyn back? Are you asking this of Athena?
Yes.
She's the source. She's your link to the true source. With her inept and unabled at this moment, you aren't able to tap the true source. Your powers are dwindling. You guys have not regained mythic power in now months. And what you're living on are the reserves you have. You have not regained those. So if you see your mythic powers as being an advantage in anything you do, yes. There's your answer. I mean, if
I-
you're in a
I'm
dark room and you
meaning
need a
beside
flashlight,
that.
she's your battery. Nope. Nope. She's your
Some
battery.
of us aren't even mythic anymore.
Yeah, go, Jen.
Some of us, yeah, I'm not mythic either. I'm like powered by a was it
Powered
Tar
by beer.
Bifod before.
Yeah.
But no, I'm powered by Tar Bifod's mythic energy from that damn arch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm powered by a dead
Different.
bard's a dead god bard who got turned into something evil. I'm powered by his remnant bard god energy.
Yeah.
10 whole points of it. That's it. Oh my god.
And then
I don't
it's
know how to use it
depleted.
because I'm not mythic.
Yeah, and then it's depleted.
Yeah.
So
It's just
yeah.
So
more tactical advantage if we get her up. We are
Yeah.
getting her up and running. I understand that advantage, but
No, otherwise
I'm
it's
just
does
it.
I'm gonna run
Athena
with somebody.
think she'll have any other advantage in some of the other areas we have to do, like get in the nod past Anubis, get to the obelisk?
If you get into a fight,
My worry is I'm gonna run across somebody's gonna go, what the hell is this dead god's energy doing in this semi-mortal being? I'm gonna
yeah.
be in a world of shit because this energy is from a god that went to the void or whatever, got completely turned around and came back.
Yeah. So to
It
answer
would
To go
Jolie's question, Gwendolyn is a power source, otherwise a heavy hitter in combat for you. That's about it.
okay. I have a few more
yeah,
questions when everyone else is finished.
Yeah, I'm waiting for some time too.
Okay, go ahead, Isaac.
go ahead.
Well, I'm interested in going down this tower to
Okay.
find that god bone and finding a sensor for, finding where inevitables are.
Right.
These would be very beneficial. I'm also interested in going to that place where we can forge things, but I was wondering about something you said. So
Go ahead.
these gods died. I specifically asked for gods. She thinks there's a low probability somebody found them. How come uh, we shouldn't expect a god bone there?
Godbone only exists for a few astral days after the god shifts into this realm. The process of transmorphosis, which is what happens, where they go from being a being of divine source energy to being inert stone in the astral, is a very quick process. Normally, for the beings, it usually takes in astral days, um, depending on how strong they are, a few days to maybe a week at most. But after that period of time, they're entirely now just stone. There is no bone there. There's no remnants of that divine energy that could be quantified as a bone. If that makes sense to you. Look at it as, yeah, so look at it as they go through petrification. There's no bone in them after they go through petrification.
How do you preserve one?
You remove it before the transmorphication takes place.
Mm.
It's not a happens instantly process like with the spell you might do or psychic energy of flesh to stone. That takes place in 6 seconds. For being as powerful as a god, that process takes days and it starts in areas and slowly moves. But the god is already dead. So they're not feeling it. So think of it as they die. As they die, their energy automatically pierces the astral veil and the membrane between the two. And as they touch the astral and their divine source leaves them, they slowly expand and turn to stone.
Okay.
Weaker God happens immediately. More powerful God, slower process. Hecate happened quickly. Nike, very slow process.
Okay.
Does it,
Well, to the party, I'm very interested in visiting both these places, like going down this tower and going to like Nike if we can.
yeah, you guys got your quintessences and motes, and you've also got your Keka. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No
just
reason not
not
to
to.
go. So I'm wondering if you guys are in for that. It's not like I can go alone.
For which part? Sorry, because there was a couple of parts there.
While going down this tower, that's one.
I'm interested in going down there.
Yeah, I'll go.
Well,
I mean, it's
there you
probably
go.
a place that we need to take one level at a time, and then we'll see where we are from there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, definitely, don't have a problem.
I would also love to go and visit a place we can forge our heckas at.
Hmm. I don't have a problem going down there.
Sounds like an AC/DC song. I go down, I go down.
Okay, anybody else interested?
Sure, I'd go.
There you go.
In that case, can I research a bit on these gods just in case we like enter a temple of theirs and we need to know?
Sure, sure. I'll add it to you guys as Spelljammer journal. Give you some background on Nike and Hecate.
Okay, awesome.
The easy knowledge religion 20 on them on Nike was a amazing athlete and destroyer of gods. One of the most unique powers of Nike was Nike could kill other gods fairly easily. Otherwise, besides that, an androgynous individual in appearance normally in their teenage years, but as a god, they rivaled the power of close to Zeus. They had some major power, okay, even though they were in a little package. So expect that planetoid to be quite big. Whereas Hecate was not as powerful, daughter of Hades, wielder of void spheres. Was her whole thing is she kind of overseen some of the realms of the dead, but it was said that she was orbited at all times by 4 spheres of annihilation, and these things actually were created from her dark heart. So one would imagine that if any of those remnants are around close to her heart, you're going to find lots of little spheres of annihilation. So careful, careful.
Are these strong or dangerous?
A sphere of annihilation?
Oh, now it sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's an item. It's in the game. It's that black dot that sucks anything within 10 feet into it and absolutely destroys it. Yeah. Yes.
Are the
For the record, in
I
my
just
game,
got
she
a message
carried,
at the door.
and for the
I'll be
record,
back in a minute.
okay, for the record, in my game, she liked to shoot those at individuals. They were actually her melee weapon or her ranged weapon. Tim met that.
Yep.
Fought her on the Isle of the Dead, didn't you?
I believe that's where it was.
Mm-hmm. That's where Frost was getting his fucking sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Going at that Titan. Sleeping Titans.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yes.
Damn, Adamite column.
Oh, fuck yeah. That one was a badass, too. Second edition Animite Golems. Oh, man, they were mean. They emanated anti-magic sphere in a 100-foot radius.
Yep.
Yeah, they were mean.
Send the fighters! Send the fighters!
Sending BK. Sending Randy's fighter. Paladin.
Yep. This
That
little dagger.
fucking
That
Warforged
How is
Paladin.
somebody shooting spheres of an
It's actually the god's ability
annihilation?
from 3rd edition. Hecate had the power in the Salient Beings guide. She actually was orbited by 4 spheres of annihilation at all time. She could conjure as many as she wanted a day, and she could control any sphere of annihilation that was within 1,000 feet of her. So she would shoot them
Yes.
like missiles. They were her magic missiles.
I was wondering how is she considered a weak god?
Oh, because she only had a total of like 5 salient levels. So she couldn't even summon an
Hero
avatar.
has 4.
See, in the old system, which was part of 3.0 per se, salient gods, the salient system said that if you had to be at least a 6th level deity to actually invoke an avatar, which is a physical presence. Once you got higher than that, you could take feats to where you could have multiple avatars, which were all you functioning at the same time. So she didn't have enough power to even do that. So she had to work with other gods to get big plans done.
Okay.
Yeah, big plans are those things that control areas greater than 100 miles or you want to affect more than 1 million worshippers. So.
Mm.
Okay. Darmus, did you have any more questions?
No, not right at this time.
Okay, because we're getting close to the top of the hour, and I was going to wrap it up by 11. Then I'll roll back to. Oh, Chandler, did you have any questions?
Yeah, can we research the rules
Of
of being the divine champion or salient powers or
is there any way for you guys to research the rules? You can read them at your leisure, but I only introduce portions of them. So if there's feats or skills or things like that you would like to look into, yeah, you can read the books. You guys are more than welcome to read those. They're because remember I kind of controlled everything in Pathfinder and everything in the D&D system. You can read them, and if you'd like to bring a part in, then it's like researching a skill, researching a feat, and we got to adjust it, obviously.
Yeah, because I asked about like being like the divine paladin. Well, that's when we hit mythic level 10. We may be introduced to that, but not until then.
Right, and you'll find that in I think it's the Faith and Pantheon's Guide for Forgotten Realms is the guide that's actually in. I'll send a picture of the book. I'll put it in. I'll put it in planning, so you guys can see it. You guys can look through it. Don't understand. I'm not using 100% of the material in there, and we do got to convert it to where it works on Pathfinder, so it's not overly broken. And I know when I do these things, I break the game a little bit more, but I think it's fun. So
okay, not quite where I was going.
go
cool
ahead.
Though. Okay, if we forge our Heka and Keka,
Yes.
Does that introduce rules like we can't exist on, or
No.
we can't be on Galleon or something?
No, if you forge your Hekas and Kekas, all that does is it gives you an ability to manifest magical devices, and it does not make you anything more than powerful heroes still. It is
Okay.
if you ascend and gain a salient level that changes.
Okay.
And forging your
Okay.
Hekas and Kekas will not give you a salient level.
Does not. Okay.
I'm just uninitiated here. So these would make us minor deities.
Nope.
Getting salient levels.
No, if you forge your Hekas and Kekas, no, all that gives you is a new way of doing.
The other things. The other things, salient levels.
Oh, salient
divine
levels,
phenomenon.
the only way you can get salient levels is by thousands of worshippers, flat out.
Oh.
So unless
okay.
you create dogmas, you guys get clergies going, you create cults, that shit ain't never happening to you. You're not stumbling in to become a god. You
What
actually.
about Kitty?
Well, Kitty feels like now Kitty may be able to enthrall thousands and convert them over to worshiping you, but actual worship can't normally be coerced. It has to be willing. So hers are still a charm. Sorry, guys. Can't charm a planet and get it to worship you and still have it count. Believe me, I had players try.
Can't you bind them through an agreement?
Well, that's a contract. That's a little different. And when you do bind them to a contract, you're just getting their soul, not their worshiping. And that's different. That's why if you read into devils and demons, mostly devils, they collect souls because they burn the souls, a lot of them, the powerful ones, and it's in the flames of burning those souls that they actually morph into more powerful devils. There you go.
Okay.
They actually have a whole court. And if you read even into Pathfinder, Pathfinder did a good job of breaking down the nuances of devils to where they even have clerk devils, contract devils, and these things are really kind of cool. And I highly recommend if you've never read it, there are some Pathfinder tale books that cover the travels of a Ramadan warrior who he actually from Galleon doesn't believe in the gods, and he actually fought against the gods because for those that don't know Galleon very well, there is actually a section of Galleon where if you worship a priest, it's against the city law. They kill you. They will hunt you down, and they actually have organized groups that seek out anybody trying to worship gods in their society. and hunt them down. And it goes along the stories of him, and he actually ended up having to deal with these devils and their contracts. I thought it was a very good encapsulation of what second edition had converted to Pathfinder, because they totally stole from Monty Cook stuff. So sorry, got on a tangent there.
They totally stole from.
Monty Cook. If you've ever read any of the Planescape stuff, there's a whole lot of Monty Cook. He was the writer for second edition D&D. He also wrote the Planescape Torment game. That was one of his babies too. He also has Dark Horse Games, I think it is, or Dark something. I think Damien would know.
I can't remember his other ones, but I am pretty sure, a bit like Ed Greenwood, he's got a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah. So yeah, look
and
into.
He talks on it about it all.
Oh yeah, so he
Same
came up with some
what's
great stuff, man. And that's all the stuff that's in a lot of the third edition books too. So, because he was really heavy-handed on that design for that system. So,
I would agree. Some of the Planescape books, besides the illustrations by, I can never do his name right, but is it Nerizeri?
Nerizeri, yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Phenomenal. It's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, really, really excellent writing for source material. Okay, so you guys have many things you can do this next session. Of course, you'll want the vote of the other players that were absent to make sure that they're in agreement to want to do some of these things too. So
I just have some more questions, if
Go
that's
ahead.
okay, but
Go
you
ahead.
don't have to answer them now.
Okay.
This is more sort of to everyone. We've still got things like the Whispering Way to deal with, haven't we? The World Wound
No, we
element.
don't.
Or don't
Actually,
we don't deal with them anymore?
I don't think we are. That's up to the other group.
Well, Sorrel's whole want of getting the heck in Keka is to fight Tar Bifon.
So I just shared with everybody and it popped up on your screen. Don't forget, you guys got a quest log. Anything you want me to put in this quest log, feel free to chat in our plot on Discord, and I will cut the request for that quest to be added, and I'll put it in here. Otherwise, you can kind of go through and see where you're at on some of these right now. Like, you're right now really at to forge the Keka. So you guys have already completed some of these quests, and it does break down into some of those elements too. Okay?
One of the elements I wanted to ask Athena was about the Whispering Way and the World Wound information. More information on that would be useful if we were still actually going down that particular.
Right. Well, you can ask her, but she doesn't know anything about Galleon. It wasn't a world she was worshipped on. So, and that's the other perspective of the gods. To her, she would say, "What's a Galleon?" So.
Okay.
Cool. Well, hey guys, thanks everybody for coming to the short session. We still have our regular game planned for, I think it's next weekend. So if that's cool with everybody.
Yeah.
I did record this and I did add our voice overlay, so people's voices and images will be popping up. So cool. I'll go ahead and post this a little bit later today. Alrighty, guys?